Welcome back, commanders and friends, to another video, and today we are going to be doing something crazy. We finally have a test account. We're going to start off with air units because recently I've been noticing a lot of increased of strong fighters, strong bombers, and overall, guys, just in general, air units are getting much stronger. Now, the question is, which unit do you want to be using? And recently there was also an update in 11.4 where some fighters actually received a buff and some didn't. So has the actual air units changed? What is the meta? And let's go through. So jumping on over, guys, I now have access to test account, which means I have absolutely everything. Everything's unlocked, everything's leveled up to whatever I want it to be. And now we can finally do testings under 100% just pure stats. Instead of like, oh, this person has a bit more tech, these don't have the same parts. I now have the ability to go through and look at everything. So, for example, here I've got my unit. I have absolutely everything maxed out. Everything's the maxed out part it can be. There is no difference. So I could have two identical units with two identical officers. I have the ability to test everything for us. So with that being said, guys, we are going to go through and we are now going to test which fighter plane truly is the best. So we don't have any officers on there for now. We are purely just testing the unit itself. So we are going to do two attacks. We have a Vanguard bomber and we are going to attack a Marty bomber. Then we're also going to have the Marty bomber attack the Vanguard fighter, because as we do know, guys, there is sometimes, depending on who starts the fight, a different outcome. So with that being said, we're going to go through, we're going to test each different viable option. So for example, right now we're going to do Vanguard versus Marty. We'll then do Marty versus Vanguard. Then we'll do Vanguard versus Liberty, Liberty versus Vanguard, and then we'll do Liberty versus Marty and Marty versus Liberty. And we'll take that data and we'll kind of see who won and who had the most wins and overall what is the meta unit to be using. Because as we know recently, guys, the actual Marty got a 20% update for its damage resist. And then we also saw, I think it was a 10 or 15% increase in firepower or maybe damage for the Liberty fighter. Now, again, all of this information, guys, is available over in the 11.4 update. So if you do want to just make sure, obviously that's where you'll find it. Now, as you can see, guys, these tests might take a little while because units in general are going to take a little bit longer to die because they don't have officers giving them extra boost. But from here, we can see currently, if I remember correctly, I think Mag done these testings a long time ago. We're talking maybe 2 years ago now. The Vanguard fighter was so much stronger than the Marty one. One thing we noticed for sure was that the Marty died a lot quicker. So with that being said, I feel like the Marty's definitely improved over time, 100%, because I can remember back in the day that the Vanguard bomber walked all over the other bombers. So I keep saying bomber, by the way, but I mean fighters. Yeah, the Vanguard used to walk all over them, but this seems pretty fair so far. And here it is, guys. So as you can kind of tell, the more units you lose, the quicker you start losing. So with that being said, obviously, the Marty is now down to its very final fighter, whereas the Vanguard still has multiple up. They lose more and more units the further they go in. So what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to go up now and we are going to retrain everything. We don't have any selected units. The only difference here, guys, is that we have, obviously, all three units here. And on the other account, we have the exact same units. So we're now going to do it again. We're going to then do the same test, but now we're going to do Marty fighting the Vanguard. We're gonna have the Marty starting and initiating the actual fight, so we'll see how that goes. Okay, guys, so we are back and we are now going to do this test again. This time it's the same units. We're going to be doing Vanguard versus Marty, but the Marty will be initiating the fight. Again, this doesn't always make a difference, but sometimes you notice it does, so we're going to test it out. But guys, I have a question for all of you who are watching right now. What is your perfect, like, if you could have any sort of setup in the world, what is your perfect air setup? Would you like 2 bombers and a fighter? Would you like 3 bombers, 3 fighters, 2 fighters and a bomber? And what camp from each section would you like? So let me know. I mean, I'm genuinely curious to see what everyone's favorite option is going to be when it comes to having their perfect dream air force setup, because I'm not too sure. I think for me, I would love to have the option of obviously switching them out. So I'd like to have, say, a Marty bomber so it can tank as much as possible. I would then like to have, for example, a Vanguard bomber with a Liberty bomber. That's my dream sort of setup right there. So a Vanguard bomber, a Liberty bomber, and a Marty fighter. But if I'm going on, obviously, the offensive mode, I would then like to have, say, like 2 fighters. I mean, I would say 3 fighters, but I think 3 fighters just is kind of crazy. Do we even have good enough officers for that at this moment? Probably, to be fair. But I think for me, I would like to personally have definitely 2 fighters. And then I don't think I'd go Liberty bomber if I only had 1 bomber. I think I would go for a more heat-seeking bomber, because let's be honest, it's a lot more efficient in more scenarios, whereas the Lib bomber obviously is crazy. But I don't know, I think it would depend on how far away the units are at that time. So as we can see, guys, here we are seeing a very different result. With me initiating the fight, I am in fact already absolutely dead, but that means it's currently 2-0 to the Vanguard fighter. So that initial intercept that comes from the Vanguard fighter is honestly crazy. It's actually crazy. So what we are going to do, guys, we are going to be just making the next fighter up. So let's get that ready. So we are back here and we are going to be doing the same test again. This time we are going to be doing a Liberty fighter versus a Vanguard fighter. Same again, we're going to do 2 tests. We're going to start the initial attack with the Vanguard, and then we're also going to start the attack with the Liberty. So starting off here, this is the one that's really going to test the difference, because as I mentioned before, the Liberty fighter has received the buff in the most recent fighter update. That's going to be the big decider here of, has it made that Liberty fighter stronger enough to beat the Vanguard? Because back in the day, again, the Vanguard would pretty much win all 6 attacks. So with that being said, is it going to be, you know, the outcoming champion, or has it been beaten now by Liberty? Because at this moment in time, it's pretty neck and neck, but the Liberty does seem to be knocking off a unit first. So especially at that lower level, if the Liberty starts knocking them off first. See, this is how crazy close it is between the 2 units. In my personal opinion, guys, I really don't think it's that much of a difference when it comes to which unit you have. I think the main thing is officers. At the end of the day, officers is what makes the biggest difference when it comes to units. But, of course, if you do, for example, have a unit that's just much stronger, then the officers will also just majorly benefit that situation. So if, for example, the Vanguard is overall the best fighter to have, it doesn't matter the officer combination. Well, it does matter the officer combination, but it's only then going to enforce that officer combination to really just overdrive the damage of the unit. So right now, it does look like to me that it's going to be a win for the Vanguard again. I might be wrong, you know, the tides might change here, but no, it does look like right now that it is going to be exactly the same, that the Vanguard is going to come victorious out of this fight. So yeah, we're going to be doing this test again, guys. We're going to make sure that with the Liberty starting the fight, is it going to be enough? But to me, it seems like the main thing right now, guys, seems to be that the Vanguard fighter itself, that initial intercept bonus that comes with the Vanguard is what sets it apart, because it just instantly gets that damage in, instantly takes out a lot of the HP, and it can keep up. If the intercept wasn't there for this fighter, I genuinely think that it would struggle maybe to keep up. And I think that initial boost is definitely what keeps it, you know, in the lead. It keeps it, you know, separated between the 2. So there it is, guys. The Vanguard has won again. We might as well quickly pull back. There it is. It just died. We might as well retrain. Now we're going to do the exact same thing, guys, except we're going to be starting the fight with the Liberty fighter here. So let's quickly jump in and get this started. So guys, here we are. We're going to start and initiate the fight now as the Liberty, and we're going to see if that makes a difference. I honestly don't think so. If you can see here, the chunk that's instantly taken off of Liberty because of the intercept from that, I think it's just such a big boost that it's just undeniable that the Vanguard fighter, because of that instant intercept, just manages to win every fight. But as I wanted to mention, guys, I've got a question for everyone. Is there anything that you want me to test? Obviously, this is only the start of the iceberg. There is so many things we could test, so whether it be officers, units, you name it, let me know if there is something you want me to test, and I will definitely try to get around to them. Of course, there is so much different things we could do, so please, you know, it might take time for us to get around to it, but let me know down in the comments if there is anything in particular that you guys want to see done, and I will try and get it done as soon as possible. We're already testing out the difference between like damage, firepower. We've got so much more to test, guys, and as I said, I appreciate you all. Definitely one thing I already know, you don't need to ask for this, guys. I will be testing out, when it comes to attacking bases, what is going to be a really good combination when it comes to exclusive lounge officers as well, because as we already know, Futurus and I is the strongest, but what if you have the ability to have all of these other officers? Who is going to be your most premium option available? Because I'm pretty sure you can get some other options other than just those 2-3 officers together. If we was to include, say, Madame Vindicta, Red Heat, Liberty, who is really going to push the boundaries to be dealing that sort of damage to bases at that level. So, guys, it is undeniable, as we can see here, the Vanguard fighter once again coming in victorious. I just don't see the Vanguard fighter being beaten in this situation. As I said, we had the tests done before a long time ago from Mag. He tested them out, and this was basically the same result. Even with the update to the Liberty fighter and the Marty fighter, there really isn't much difference between the two. Now, we will do one more attack, guys. We're going to do an attack between the Liberty and the Marty fighter and just see who's the best out of those. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be the Liberty, but who knows? Let's quickly try and find out. So guys, here we are. We're gonna start the initial fight now with the Liberty fighter, and as you can see, it's gonna Liberty fighter versus a Marty fighter. Now guys, recently in my live streams, I have had people talk to me about the Liberty fighters having that update, and a lot of people have said that their whale friends, as in like the big boys, seem to think that the Liberty fighter is much better than any other fighter. But I think they're just not taking into consideration they're fighting people with the fact that they have a lot of, you know, skin buffs, tech, and all of this, and they might be fighting people that don't necessarily have said tech or said skin buffs. Because as you can see here, the tests have shown 100% that the Vanguard fighter absolutely smokes all other fighters. Unfortunately, even with the updates coming from both of the Marty and the Liberty fighters, the Vanguard still just beats them both. So, will we see more updates to these units to sort of compete with that Vanguard? Or do you think the Vanguard will remain, you know, the king for all times? Because as we know, the meta is always changing. The meta for, you know, the ground units especially. If you think about the MB, the Heli, and the light tank, it's always one of them is the meta until it gets too much, so they make the other one meta, and then the other one meta, and it just keeps going around. You can ask anyone. We've seen the MB be meta 2 or 3 times. We've seen the Heli be meta 2 or 3 times. We've seen the light tank be meta 2 or 3 times, and it just keeps evolving. But we've never really seen much of a change when it comes to the actual units of the air. It's always been pretty much the same. So, do you think we'll see a change in that? Let me know down below. Of course, guys, if you are enjoying the video and, you know, you appreciate everything we're trying to do here for you guys, please think about hitting the like button. Share these videos with your Alliance members. Share it with your world chat as well. Let everyone in the world chat know to come and subscribe to the channel. We've been growing crazy fast lately, and I really appreciate all the love and support. You guys have been doing absolutely amazing. So, as you can tell, guys, the Liberty fighter has absolutely destroyed the Marty fighter here. So, we're going to retrain everything back up now, and we are then going to do the test one more time. We're going to start the fight with the Marty fighter this time, and we'll get on to the very final testing. So, guys, here it is, the final test of the video. We are going to start the fight with the Marty fighter going up against the Liberty. I honestly think it's not going to make much of a difference here. The Liberty will come out victorious, but as we have gathered from today's testing, guys, in my personal opinion, the Vanguard just will not be defeated for a long time unless they either reduce the intercept damage or just increase even more the Liberty and the Marty. Because, again, it's just too much. Unfortunately, they're just not able to beat it. So with that being said, guys, whether or not you are told by other people that, you know, the Liberty's so much better, or, you know, all of this stuff, the Vanguard is the best fighter. It has always been the best, and it's still the best even after the updates. So that just goes to show how strong it used to be back then, before the other ones got buffed. Because even now that they've been buffed, they're still not as good as the Vanguard one. So let me know once again, guys, what you want to see. Do you want to see me test more units? Do you want to see officers? I'm pretty sure most of you are going to ask for officers, but let me know what sort of testing you want done down in the comments. And as always, remember, smash that like button if you can. I'd really appreciate it. Share it to all your friends. As always, I hope you have an absolutely beautiful and amazing day. But I think this has come with a conclusion. As we can see, guys, the Liberty has won again. On screen, obviously, you can see how many times everyone's won. I'm pretty sure it's the Vanguard has won all 4 attacks. You've then got the Liberty has won the 2 attacks against the Marty. And unfortunately, the Marty has lost on every single occasion. But this is purely in relation to offense. Do take that into mind. Obviously, every single unit has got its maxed parts on. So for example, we go here, as you can see, every unit has got max parts, and we do have firepower here. Obviously, everything's maxed out on the units. Everything's the same, identical on each individual unit. But with that being said, as I mentioned to you before, guys, if there's anything you want to see, please let me know. I appreciate you all. Hope you have an absolutely amazing day. And there it is, the fall of the Marty fighter. Thank you for watching. Have a beautiful day, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, everyone.